Diz was just talking about how alone he was. Hello, and welcome to episode 46 of the Player 3 podcast. I am your host, Luke Croft. Alongside me, we have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
I'm not the host.
True. On this side, he can fix you a nice, delicious glass of Pepsi and steal your daughter's heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Doug Martin.
Shut up and keep hosting the show.
All right.
I didn't mean that.
And over here, we have Benjamin D. Hankins. The D stands for Destiny.
I am neither the host.
How are you guys doing today? I hate all of you.
I was tired of last week's stream accusing us of product placement. We would never do that.
That looks like a delicious cherry Coke.
Oh, God. Episode 46, Larry spits up.
I did kind of make it.
Larry is only susceptible to laughter when he has a drink in his mouth.
That was a funny joke, Ben.
Thank you.
There was this one time where he turned a burger into aerosol spray.
I did. I sprayed it all over your face.
It was delicious. We are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday, talk about video games over here on twitch.tv/player3podcast, and then we push it out on youtube.com/player3podcast and all of your favorite podcast services. So follow, subscribe, leave us a review on iTunes, and we would greatly appreciate it. In fact, we would read it out on the podcast. So head on over to iTunes and leave us a review over there.
Maybe
yeah, man.
We will, maybe we won't.
There are like 200 of you listen to this thing every week. Give me a review.
That's right. All right. Let's get this week started like we get every week started. With
Over.
the releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap. We really need to get on that app thing. Clap, clap.
App thing.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Releasing on both consoles this week, we have FIFA 16, the annual soccer title. I've got my access with EA Access, and I've been streaming a little bit and playing it. I don't know enough about soccer to tell you how it's different than the other games, but it's fun. It's just as fun as last year's FIFA. So check that out. And then we have Blood Bowl 2. Blood Bowl 2 smashes Warhammer and American football together in an explosive cocktail of turn-based strategy, humor, and brutality adapted from Game Workshop's famous board game. And
So this is something of an amalgam.
well, and there was a Blood Bowl 1 that was released on Xbox in 2010. Is that what we determined? And you had played it, right?
No, I played the board game back in the day.
Oh, I thought you were joking about the board game.
No, that's why I kept correcting you. Yeah, man.
It's your sarcasm. It catches up to you.
Mercury is in retrograde, and we had a
That
breakdown
is
of
true.
communication.
That is very, very true. Mercury is in retrograde.
Why don't you have a sip of that delicious cherry
Where's
Coke?
it go? You set your cherry Coke on the dash.
Were you about to ask where it's going?
Pardon?
I thought you were asking where Mercury was going.
Oh, yeah, because it's in retrograde.
Well, it's going. It's just going backwards.
It's going back to the sun.
Just backwards.
Into
the
its
sun.
rotation. Its
From
rotation
whence
is
it came.
different.
From whence life came.
Behold.
Welcome to Pseudoscience 3 podcast.
How's that delicious Monster Energy drink?
Oh my God.
Stab.
It's 0 calories.
Welcome to Plagiarism 3 podcast. Is that copyright infringement 3
There you
podcast?
go.
I'm sorry.
We're just getting free
I'm
marketing.
sure we won't get in trouble for
Free marketing.
plugging. Yeah, we're just.
This sucks.
There you go. There you
Better.
go.
Why would
Better.
Coke get upset for me talking about how delicious their product is in just a nonchalant way?
Welcome to Marketing 3
Nobody
podcast.
knows.
Doesn't
All right.
stand for 3, whatever. Just move on.
All right, let's move on to the drop. This is everything that's releasing on PlayStation 4 this week. We have Afro Samurai 2 Revenge of Kuma Volume 1.
Ooh.
Sounds like a fake title. Embark on a journey of redemption. The action-packed saga of Afro Samurai continues, but this time follows the path of Kuma, one of Afro's closest childhood friends. This game looks awesome. Look at that dude.
Is this racist?
You ever watch that show?
We didn't make it. It can't be racist if we didn't make it.
Dude,
I'm not saying that we are racist. I'm saying is that I've recently been told about a movie from like the 70s, 80s called The Last Dragon. It's kind of like a African American kung fu movie.
I saw one.
Sounds
with a bunch
real
of, like, 4
bad. And
kids.
this makes me think of it right now.
Hey, what was that movie, Dizzy? Can Diz hear me? Because there's a movie what's that movie we watched in college that was like Shaft?
Black Dynamite?
Yeah, Black
Blade?
Dynamite. Great movie.
Blades like that.
Great movie.
Blade is not like that.
He's shafting the vampires.
Shafting the vampires.
All right, then we have Arcade Archives, Mr. Gomon. Mr. Gomon is an action game released in 1986. Players attempt to reach the goal at the end of each level while avoiding enemy capture with various items and weapons. So just like every other side-scrolling platform.
Is that a old lady being chased by a couple of Richard Nixons?
It looks like a samurai.
I'm not a crook.
A weird Japanese samurai face.
All right.
Looks like they're trying to steal a purse.
Then we have Battle
Possibly.
Trivia Knockout. Battle head-to-head in this fast-paced trivia action game and knock out the competition. Over 1,000 new questions are both presented on screen and spoken by the trivia sensei. So not only can you see this game, Seth, but you can also hear this game.
Whoa!
It's called Innovation, ladies
Can
and
you
gentlemen.
touch it?
Maybe. I don't know.
Don't get ridiculous.
Then we have Extreme Exorcism. Take on the role of May Barons, an extreme exorcist with extreme measures. Her supernatural skills are called upon when everything and everyone else has failed to rid a haunted house of its ghostly presence.
What makes her so extreme? She like skateboard all over
Yeah,
the
she
place.
rides through on a skateboard.
Like doing 900 while like sucking demons out of.
She's Athica.
And she was trained by Afro Samurai up here because she's carrying a sword.
She's Athica.
She's got a spirit sword going on right here.
That game really looks fun to me, actually.
Does it?
I'd play it.
It's Agatha from Pokemon Kanto region.
Possibly. Then we have Laser Life.
A joke that no one understands.
Yes,
I
Blood
understand
Larry.
Laser Life is an interactive biography about a dead astronaut floating through deep space. I just had the Whalesiac vision from South Park, but I also just imagined like just this lifeless body floating all through space.
Like, you can't control anything in this game. You just watch your body float.
Seriously, how would you play this game?
I have no idea. Who is discovered by future intelligences who have no concept of humankind. That's we should have finished the sentence. You got to go all the way to the period. There's a demo for Lego Jurassic World coming out. Let's see. That game looks right up your alley. But it's
Mahjong
coming out
Carnival.
Mahjong Carnival, bring it to Papa.
Then we have
I am Papa.
Panarium. This is a trial. Panarium is set in a sinister circus arena where contestants, much like gladiators of old, are forced to entertain a sadistic crowd.
Are
The
you not
Coliseum, if you will.
entertained?
And then we have
No.
Pump BMX Plus. Pump BMX Plus sees players ride their way through increasingly challenging levels while pulling off crazy and impressive trick combinations.
Oh, so Trials XD.
Yeah, I guess. Man, we got a lot of stuff coming. These are all PS1 classes. Then we have Rally Copters. Triumph against gravity and time in a test of determination by maneuvering through 27 perilous courses. Track your progress, discover tricks, and find shortcuts to help you glide through levels and unlock faster and more agile helicopters.
That looks like an early 90s.
Yeah, is it running on
computer.
DOS?
Like Tron.
It's running on DOS.
Yeah.
You guys seen the new Tron movie?
Nah.
It's like Ski
Dude,
Man.
you should. It's great. I love it.
Wait, the Tron one where he's like, where the guys, they just superimpose the guy's face on a younger body?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Who was the guy that played the dad in Tron in that movie?
James Vanderbeek.
Is there a newer Tron now? Or is it just a new one?
It's not James Vanderbeek.
It's a newer Tron. It's like a totally different movie.
No, it's not. It's a sequel.
Well, I'm saying like, but it's not. I was thinking he was saying that it was the old Tron, just as like a new actor's face superimposed, kind of Paul Walker style.
No,
No, it's a new.
Jeff-
I've seen the new Tron.
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. Okay, that's what. That's what I wanted to know. Okay,
Wait,
so I've
what?
seen that one. Yes, it's
His
Jeff
face
Bridges.
is on a younger body?
It's like a CGI face of him when he was younger. It looks weird.
Oh, you're talking about Clue.
Nope.
No.
This is-
Then we have Soma releasing on PlayStation 4. Strange events and stranger horrors will challenge your understanding of the human mind, the concept of AI, and all the reality that stirs between. A sci-fi horror experience fueled by science and philosophy.
It seems like a funky adventure.
Soma.
Yeah, this game seems pretty cool.
Is that the Greek word for body?
Yes. And then that's
Soma.
everything that's going to be releasing on the PlayStation 4 this week. And then we don't have anything releasing exclusively on Xbox One that I know of yet. Again, they don't release their stuff until
Nothing.
Wednesday.
That, if you read that backwards, it says Amos.
Why did we
He
care?
was so angry. Why was he so angry?
Who is he?
Amos?
He was a prophet.
If we're talking biblically.
Yeah. And if we're talking about...
Talking biblically.
All right, those
I don't
are
like where this is going. I'm uncomfortable.
those are your releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
Wow, that
That's
was
me vomiting over your song.
concussive.
Yeah, I can do that sometimes.
You have
You just
deep-
cup your hand.
You have deep pocketed hands.
He's just got these flesh pockets on him.
Okay, all right, enough of that. All right,
Let's avoid
moving
any
on.
flesh pocket conversation tonight.
Moving on to the news.
News with the podcast, guys.
All right, first item on the list, we have this fancy schmancy Star Wars Battlefront Deluxe Edition with
Sold.
Han Solo fridge.
Tell them. Tell them what it comes with. Oh yeah.
That's the whole point of the thing, Ben. We know Battlefront's coming out. We didn't know this Han Solo mini fridge was coming out. For $130, it's available for pre-order, and you can check this out right here. It's a mini fridge, got Han Solo trapped in the carbonite.
Oh, you remember the You remember the terminology.
Yeah, dude, I got you.
The jargon.
I love you. I know.
Han Solo, the greatest of all Jedi.
And there we go. Luke descends into retrograde.
But see, look at this. You can fit some fancy schmancy
You can fit a
sodies.
6-pack in there.
6 whole cans.
You could fit, I don't know, 6 cans of Cherry Coke Zero. I don't know.
Delicious Cherry Coke Zero.
Possibly.
I would think.
So, yeah, this thing's pretty cool. So we're going to leave this up on the screen while we talk about it. Seth, what are your thoughts? Both price point and offering.
Price point, that's garbage. I paid like $170 for my mini fridge, and it has a freezer. I could freeze Han Solo and Carbonite if he was a really tiny man.
But you gotta subtract the 60 for the game.
60 for the game, 60 for... Still, that's... Nah, get out of town.
Especially because
Get
you
out
can
of
only
town.
hold...
6 cans,
Six
six
cans.
beverages. I can drink 6 cans of beverages in 30 minutes if I'm really, in a great session of... that's a challenge that I just
Yeah,
accepted
no need
for
to...
myself.
No need to just continue keeping them cold. Just have them sit next to you. You don't need
Exactly.
You don't need a $70
Like
fridge.
get a bucket with some ice in there and go to town. Now the deluxe edition of the game. What I'm interested in that.
I imagine the deluxe edition of the game includes some sort of... Well, let's see if
Like
it
a mini
says-
fridge.
Bum, bum, bum.
An in-game mini fridge.
An in-game R2D2 mini fridge.
It doesn't give any specifics as to what the deluxe edition of Battlefront does, but it does give you some Han Solo stuff. Han Solo mini fridge can hold a 6-pack of soda, but just soda.
But that could be delicious
It's-
Cherry
It's
Coke.
I like how they
Could be
measure. It's
something
a
else.
4-liter mini fridge, so you could just pour your liquid into the fridge.
Is this-
And
It includes cooling and warming function in as much as
Whoa,
if you unplug
bro.
it and then set something warm in it, it will keep it warm.
Wait,
No,
so I
no,
can
no.
like,
It's
sorta
I can
like an oven.
I can if I buy some chicken eggs from the Tractor Supply.
Yeah, you
I
can
can
incubate.
incubate those bad boys and grow a couple Han Solo chickens and.
I will say no.
I can set 6 coffee cups in this thing and keep my coffee piping hot.
It comes with a built-in carry handle, removable shelf, 110-volt US AC power cord, and a 12-volt DC power cord for your car. You can plug this thing up in your car, Seth. Does that change the value of it at all?
I'll pay like $200 for this thing now because how many times have you been in your car? Driving around Martinsville, it takes 10 minutes to get from point A to point B, wherever you're going. Doesn't matter. You're like, I'll be danged if I don't want a delicious Cherry Coke Zero. Boom, baby. You got it right there in your carbonite fridge. All your friends get in there like, oh, this is the coolest car I've ever seen. It's got a Han Solo carbonite fridge right there. And then your battery dies.
Yeah, how much
Dude,
current does this thing pull?
I travel a lot, and this is actually a cool idea to me. Like, when I go on a long trip, I'm always sad at the end when I reach for a nice, delicious, ice-cold Cherry Coke, and I've just got a regular, warm Cherry Coke.
You could fit 6 ice cold delicious Cherry Coke Zeros in there.
You cannot
Or-
fit that.
It's too
big.
no, what I'm saying is maybe
might
like
squeeze
3
2 of
like
those in.
3
4.
of these
Probably.
vertically.
Probably do 4
Yeah.
of those vertically.
Yeah, you can probably do 4.
Get out of town.
Yeah, because
All right, well, you buy one.
Cut it out.
You buy one, and when it comes
Cut
out,
it
you can also add a 2-year protection plan to this thing for $14.
Of
I don't know if they can replace it if anything happens to it, but
Is there anywhere you can buy this fridge just by itself?
Probably
Absolutely
not.
Yeah.
Unless
Usually
people start
pre-order
selling it on
bonuses
Amazon
don't.
and eBay. And
When I first flipped this picture of it, it looked like it was just a cooler.
yeah, it does. I mean, because they always edit out the cords, this is clearly a fridge.
cords are unattractive.
Yeah. And plus, once the illusion that it is a wireless fridge, the great wireless fridge, ran completely on 4 AA batteries.
Or 18 9-volt batteries.
I
You
feel
may
like we've been
consider
lingering on
my
this fridge
interest
for a long
piqued.
time. We might want to move on.
I got one last
Hold on,
thing to
he's
say.
got some
You
thoughts
got-
on
you
this.
got a
First
little-
off,
you got a little zinger?
I'm interested in this fridge.
Okay.
Second, I would like to turn your attention to the one review. Someone has left this thing a 1-star review. His name is Nick Cool on Walmart. And I just want to point out what an idiot this guy is. Because he has left a 1-star review on the basis of, I bet this product is low quality.
I want to read it right now, can I? Is it readable?
Is it readable?
I think so.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you're
and
not
just edit yourself. Just
Okay.
be conscious while you read.
I've been torn on if I want this game or not. Should I
Pizza lawyer?
pre-order? Should I pre-order a game flight? Wait for GameStop used a red box. The reason why. First of all,
Can you read it a little quicker?
you're torn on this game whether you should buy it or not. But you should rent it. But you won't get the mini fridge. What are you doing here, cowboy? The reason why is because it has no single-player mission. This will be an online-only game. So you will need an Xbox Live account or whatever you call the PS4 version online, which I normally have. But since I rarely play video games, seemed like a useless expenditure. Why are you shopping for Han Solo mini fridges and the deluxe editions of games if you're able to play them, whatever? Well, I saw this and I literally went from confirmed payment till I got an itch on the back of my neck not to and wait. Turns out this is just a cheap fridge with probably a cheaper sticker. Yes, you can buy a mini fridge and cover it with whatever Star Wars stickers you want, and it will be cheaper than what you'll be paying now. Something tells me this sticker probably won't even look as 3D as the pictures displayed now online look. If you want to spend money on this, by all means do, but don't be surprised when the fridge is junk and the sticker is peeling off.
Why is Colonel Sanders looking for this mini fridge?
He got an itch on the back of his neck. That's the thing.
I think it's thoroughly molded.
But the problem is it's molded. This isn't a sticker.
Do we know that, though?
No, well,
The second
it
problem
is true. It does feel pretty fake.
This is what's wrong with online reviews. People who don't even buy it just get on and leave whatever they want.
Yep.
I think it is a sticker, actually.
Everybody thinking
Look at
that.
the side view.
Does it look like a sticker?
You look
Okay,
at-
well,
I think
we'll
it's.
put
I bet it's a sticker.
It looks like a sticker.
We want to throw a milkshake bet down on this.
hold on.
Incidentally, I saw like
Is someone gonna buy it to figure it out?
I saw some
Maybe.
Pop-Tarts, and they had like Han Solo, the little indentations in there. I don't know if they're real or not.
You just go to bite and all of your teeth break.
There's a man in here.
All right, next item on the list: Project Morpheus. It was shown at Tokyo Game Show, but it has been rebranded to PlayStation VR. And my mouse is acting cray. Is the stream all right, Diz? Is the stream all right? Yeah. Okay, good deal. All right, this is from GameSpot. It says Sony has finally branded Project Morpheus, its upcoming virtual reality headset for PlayStation 4 as PlayStation VR. The new name for the hardware was revealed by Atsushi Morita, president of Sony Computer Entertainment Japan, at Sony's Tokyo Game Show 2015 press conference. Morita added that Sony hopes to make the upcoming VR device a sensation. Quote, the name PlayStation VR not only directly expresses an entirely new experience from PlayStation that allows players to feel as if they are physically inside the virtual world of games, the name also reflects our hopes that we want our users to feel a sense of familiarity as they enjoy this amazing experience. So we've been having the conversation a lot about VR and about whether it's got staying power. It's been rebranded as PlayStation VR. What are you guys' thoughts on the name, first of all?
Since I didn't enter into the conversation on the show notes, I will speak first. Makes sense, right?
Yes,
Good,
makes the
softly.
greatest sense.
Okay. I'll speak softly. With a big stick, of course.
Just
Of course.
tramps
But,
all over all of our comments.
This makes sense. I mean, every other PlayStation apparatus is named aptly. You've got PlayStation Camera, PlayStation Eye, PlayStation Move, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation TV. Duh.
Right.
It was coming.
See, it just makes sense because when you brand something, you want people to immediately know what it's all about. So, PlayStation VR, PlayStation is a brand that's trusted, and then VR, virtual reality. So, a brand that I trust is putting out a virtual reality headset. So, it makes sense to me, at least. Larry?
I concur.
Ben?
I like this move because I am one of the idiots who confuses most of the products that other companies make with products of the company that I'm talking about. I.e., like I said, HoloLens was a PlayStation thing at one point. I'm quick to do that, so I guess to your statement, brand recognition, it's better for me to see PlayStation VR instead of thinking, okay, who's doing the virtual reality thing and who's doing the augmented reality thing. It just makes it easier to recognize.
Well, and I had this mental block within me that always wanted to call, like I always got Project Morpheus and Oculus Rift mixed up. And so it just makes sense. But the bigger point I want to get to is that we didn't really see anything out of it at E3. I think it was like, what, a 2-minute little spiel in it, if it was even that long. And then we haven't really heard anything until we get to Tokyo Game Show. They didn't say much about it even then, just to say that it's being rebranded. We didn't get a launch date or a price point or anything like that. I personally feel like the VR conversation is starting to lose some steam, which you don't want this thing to fall flat before it even gets started, which is where I feel like we're at right now. So do you guys get that feeling as well?
A little bit. It's one of those things that you hear about for, I mean, we just got through, or I guess we're in the final stages of conference season in terms of gaming. And so we've been hearing a lot about it recently, and now that things are dying down, we're hearing about it a lot less. And it's going to be one of those things that maybe we don't hear about for a little while until, again, it gets... What are the launch dates on these, or do we have them?
We don't have a launch date on any of them.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is like we hear a lot about them. It's like Watch Dogs or anything like that. They lose steam. They'll get a big push towards next conference season if it's not out by then, and then right before they come out, we'll just start getting blasted with them.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just moving. Like the more you see about the practicality of like the augmented reality, it weakens the virtual reality side of things. Like it just makes it. I know for me that's what happens. Like I just think how much cooler augmented reality is going to be than the virtual reality, and it just makes it like everything they say is kind of like, oh yeah, but you got augmented reality coming too, and that's going to be cooler. Like everything that they bring out is even the little bit that they've talked about, it just makes it like it's big competition they're going against. Now it's got to be done right in order for it to be good competition, but I feel like it's more practical to me, and that's why I'm losing steam with virtual reality.
Yeah, and we've seen more HoloLens in a shorter amount of time. Like, we've been talking about Project Morpheus really since, the launch of the PlayStation 4, or right around it at least.
Yeah.
And HoloLens we haven't been talking about but for probably less than a year. And we've already seen tech demos of it at E3, and they kind of have an idea of how it's going to work both in gaming and in just regular regular practical applications of it outside of gaming. But with the VR stuff, all we're going off of is the word of people who have experienced this at conferences when they stand in a line and wait to do it. I've heard really great things about it in terms of the immersion you receive, the comfort of wearing it, and things that are problems with for people who use the Oculus Rift. But when you're not talking about this from your main stage, we can just kind of assure ourselves that this is going to do what PlayStation Vita did, what PlayStation Move did, what PlayStation Eye did, what the PlayStation Camera did, that it just becomes, this is a cool, really good piece of hardware that you've created, but you've given it no marketing support, and you haven't gotten it into the hands of the people who are going to talk it up and are responsible for you selling millions of units of the PlayStation already, like the PS4 already.
And it's something I think about this console generation, especially because we're so on the verge of, taking a huge leap in gaming. Just with Kinect functionality, things that we didn't have, anything. We had the Kinect on the 360, but, it didn't do nearly as much as it does now. And there's potential to do so much more with it. But I don't know that of course, the user base we know from sales of the Xbox and, the Vita, yada, 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 isn't there. And it's because maybe the economy's still bad. People don't want to cash out or, for extra crap. But also, I just don't think that people know or value necessarily all of these peripherals can give us, and it's one of those things that might take some trial and error over this generation to the next one to kind of really get them going full force.
Do you think that they can afford a generation of it kind of failing and not getting into the hands of people?
If anybody can afford it, it's Microsoft. But I mean, these are two big powerhouses. They're not going to break the bank on these systems. That's for sure.
Because Microsoft understood with like Kinect, what they wanted to introduce Kinect to the world through the world of gaming, but then use it in other avenues. And I think we've had this conversation before, but
billions of times.
But it never went there.
Yeah.
And with HoloLens, they're understanding like if we need this in education, in medicine, in home repair, we need this with like a ton of practical applications as well. Whereas Sony's like, we're just going to create a home theater experience in your that like is in a headset. and it's just you're fully in it, but there's no other applications outside of just gaming. And I don't think they can afford to release something like this and have developers say, well, only 3% of owners of PS4s have the thing, so why are we going to develop for it?
Mm-hmm.
Just like why are we going to develop for Move? Why are we going to develop for Vita? Even though those things have great attachment rates, because that's what we're going to see is like this VR headset's going to come out, and there are going to be people who buy every single thing that comes out for it. But even with great attachment rates, if the install base isn't that big, these big developers that will be able to pull more people into buying that hardware aren't going to jump on board. And I don't know what the solution to that is. Anyway, your thoughts, Larry?
I don't have any.
I concur.
All right. Well, moving on. Next item on the list. The PlayStation 4, and we're covering kind of a lot of the Tokyo Game Show PlayStation news right here. PlayStation 4 receives a price drop in Japan. So, everything good, Diz? Diz is looking really concerned.
Looks fine to me.
Oh, really?
Domo arigato.
Well, I'm not positive what's going on. Hey, if you've got the stream open, X out of that. It's probably just really exhausting the internet, everybody being on everything. But anyway, next item on the list. We have a PlayStation 4 price drop announced for Japan. This is from GameSpot. Sony has, for the first time, officially dropped the price of its PlayStation 4, with the popular system's RRP in Japan now cut to 34,980 yen. The price cut will go into effect on October 31st, according to Sony Japan executive speaking at the Tokyo Game Show. This decrease represents a price drop of about 12%. When converted to U.S. currency, it means the 2013 launch price of $334 has been dropped to $292. And then it goes on to talk about how there's no indication that this is going to happen in the U.S. Thoughts on this news?
It's coming. It's coming for us. Just like PlayStation TV or what was it, Vita TV in Japan. It's on the way. They're gonna drop it hard on us.
And Phil Spencer actually came out in an article and said, well, he was asked, hold on, I'll pull this article up as well. This is from IGN. He was asked about this price drop and if we should be expecting it in the U.S. This article reads, speaking with IGN, Xbox head Phil Spencer spoke about the recent price cut on the PlayStation 4 in Japan, expressing his confidence in the likelihood of it soon happening in the West. Quote, I fully expect the PlayStation will drop price. When I think about the playbook they've used in the past, we feel good about the plans we have in place going forward in the holiday. If history tells, then we'll see a price drop from them coming. Go ahead.
He's noticing stuff from their playbook. Spygate.
It really wasn't a playbook thing about Spygate.
I know.
Okay, I was just making sure. I didn't want you to be uninformed.
I'm just making fun.
Right. But judging from their history, what Phil's saying is like around this time of the console lives, this is where the price drop happens. However, it's about to be October, which is a month before holiday season. And if we haven't heard it yet that it's going to drop in price, I doubt we're going to hear it for this year.
For this year, yeah, for sure.
I think we will.
You think so?
Yeah. 2 weeks into October.
You're wrong, brother. I don't mean that. You might be right.
Well, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, the PlayStation 4 is always on the top of the MPD in hardware sales. There have been very few months since the launch of these two consoles where Xbox One has been the top-selling console. So if you're selling your console at its current price point better than any of the competition, why would you drop the price of it? Why not just ride that wave until you have to make a move?
That's true, and it's a valid point, but there's such a thing, I guess, as staying ahead of the market. And you can try to run that gambit for as long as possible, but pretty soon sales are going to drop off. But again, like I said, I don't think it will be a great move going into the holiday season because Xbox has already done theirs. They did it last year. We're still on top in terms of PlayStation fanboys. So why not keep it going through the holiday season and maybe sometime, whatever quarter it will be in, early next year, go ahead and make the cut.
The only thing that would make it make a little bit of sense to me is if their strategy is like, we feel like we're losing steam with people that I guess we're not really still in the early adopter stage of these consoles, but where you where they're saying like, okay, with a price drop, we can start to bring those people who are still holding on to the PS3 over, or we can bring over those parents that are like, we're not spending $400 on a console for you, 12-year-old Timmy. Like, I can see it happening, but just, and I don't know anything about business, and obviously Phil knows, friend of the show, Phil Spencer, knows way more about this sort of stuff than me, but a price drop just doesn't make much sense when you're going strong and when you're making sales. You have any thoughts, Ben?
I just agreed with you. I'm kind of jumping back and forth though with it because I feel like I agree with the point. If you're already ahead, why does it matter? Why do you want to drop your price? You know, just everybody's buying it anyways. But I also agree with the staying ahead of the market statement that Seth's made. He's convincing me. I feel like if you want to attract people that are willing to buy a console for their kid, that you know, at a lower price point, then pull those people in too.
The way I'm thinking is like kind of like I said, keep your sales going at their normal, you know, price point through the holiday season, and then you know, after the holidays, things start to die down a little bit, drop the price point. Everybody's like, I got to get myself one of them PlayStations for the low.
I guess you don't want to fall behind. I guess I see your point of like, don't make the price cut when you have to make the price cut. Make it at a time where it seems like it's a fan service.
Right.
And then you're forcing like Xbox to follow suit. Like if they want to stay viable, you're forcing them to drop to try to play catch up.
What's even more interesting about the price drop is it's happening like in Sony's home territory.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're making a strategic move at their home base where Xbox has no foothold in it, and so like if you're gonna buy a console, people aren't buying the Wii U,
right?
Like they're gonna buy the PlayStation 4, and so that was a little odd to me.
It's a threat to Microsoft. Like we're coming.
Yeah, that's
it's on the way.
It's probably just that sales have probably plateaued a bit there, and they want to keep selling them.
Yeah, because even if it is their home market, we've talked at length about how like console gaming isn't the place to game in the Japanese culture, and most people are playing either on like a DS on a handheld or even more so on mobile on their phones, and consoles just isn't where it's happening there. If you want to stay internationally relevant, then I guess a price drop there would be the best way to do it. All right, next item on the list. Sony has announced some new what do you call it? Some new colors for their hardware. Got some pictures here. This is exciting to me. I enjoy customization of stuff, and so I'm just gonna for our audio listeners, this is gonna be a little bit more difficult because I'm just gonna scroll through these pictures. They're offering like different grays and blues and reds, and so we're just gonna go through this. And as you guys were looking at the options that they're trying to give to their people, what were your thoughts?
I was really digging that red and black and that blue and black.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think the shape of both systems is just not great. It looks better. It doesn't look good, but it looks better than it used to.
Yeah.
It seems like they've got a lot of variety, and that's one really good thing.
I like to call this one, before he scrolls away from it, I'm sorry, baby puke green.
I think that's yellow.
It's kind of a yellow. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
It's pea yellow.
A pea yellow. But, you know, variety in a thing like this is good. And, you know, when you've got the Xbox and the PlayStation 4 this generation have that kind of potential for two-tone things going on. They've got, you know, on the PlayStation, you've got your power light divider. So you can, you know, like they're doing here, mix up the colors a little bit. Your Xbox is two-toned. We've seen, I think, a little bit of that
in the special edition consoles.
Yeah, in some of the special edition ones. So that's cool. I mean, everybody wants a little bit of color in their life, except for people like me who like everything black all the time.
Yeah,
everything.
In terms of the, in terms of like the consoles themselves, I'm not big on like a bunch of different colors because I don't want it to just look like a smorgasbord on my TV. And none of these colors really jump out to me. But in terms of the controllers, and when we get to the controllers, like they have like a gunmetal gray kind of color that I'd be all about.
I love some gunmetal.
And then the Vita colors are really cool as well.
I really dig that kind of graphite / blue turquoise, whatever color that is.
Yeah, and the best part about these is it's not about going out and buying a console now that is these two colors. These are just faceplates. So if you've got the white console, you can just buy a different faceplate that goes over the hard drive and swap those things out. Yeah, these aren't a new color.
I didn't
that's
know
the way
that.
to get around it, because you don't want to develop a bunch of blue and white consoles not knowing how many people are going to buy blue and white
'Cause
consoles.
My thing I was going to say is why this is cool and everything, but why haven't they taken advantage of like interchangeable things you can buy for each console? I didn't realize they were faceplates.
See, I'm all right with this basic like black and white here.
I do dig that one.
I'd be all right, and maybe the inverse because I had the black console with a white hard drive cover. There it is. There would be the option I'd be into. Very checkerboardy. I like it. So, all right, let's scroll through and see if we can get to. I think we may. Oh,
I
no,
want that.
here's
Ooh,
what's that?
I really like that one.
The gray.
Gray. Ooh,
Yeah.
that looks nice. That's slick looking.
Yeah.
That's slick looking.
See, customization. Like this is cheap customization too, which is good. So, and now there, for some reason, a bunch of pictures of a PlayStation headset that's been around for ages. Anyway, well, we'll just X out of this because I know this is uninteresting to our audio listeners. But anyway, so I think that's cool stuff. And I've lost my mouse again. All right, there we go.
The Vritas.
I may pick up a hard drive cover, that white one, mix it up
Yeah, I
every
probably
now and
would
then.
too. Do we have a timeline on this, or is it just kind of a
In
general?
Japan, they're releasing in November, I believe.
Okay.
And then they didn't announce when they would be coming to America, but it is certain that they're coming
Naturally, it's on
to
the way.
America. So,
Naturally.
yeah.
The natural.
Indubitably.
All right. Next item on the list, Assassin's Creed Syndicate is getting Jack the Ripper DLC.
Jack the Ripper.
Oh, wrong one. This is from GameSpot. It says Ubisoft has announced a new downloadable content pack for Assassin's Creed Syndicate that will feature infamous serial killer Jack the Ripper. The news was revealed.
the Ripper.
Yada yada yada. A release date for the DLC pack has not yet been confirmed. The Jack the Ripper
Jack the Ripper.
campaign is set 20 years after the events of Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Ubisoft has explained, quote, set during the autumn of terror in Whitechapel, 1888, a killer's abominable acts of murder and mutilation terrorized London, creating widespread panic and worldwide media attention. Players will join forces with Inspector Frederick Aberline of Scotland Yard to hunt down
Jack the Ripper.
in a deadly game of cat and mouse with the infamous serial killer.
Jack the Ripper.
Jack the Ripper. Oh, you're done now, aren't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
This one just kind of makes me laugh. We're going to hunt down this guy who slaughtered so many people so senselessly with a group of people that slaughter lots of people only more sensibly.
Like one of those exhibit memes are like, you like to slaughter people who slaughter people while they're slaughtering other people. And everybody's a murderer, but
It's kind of a gray line.
they murdered everybody up in here. As the resident Assassin's Creed fan, this seems pretty cool. It's one of those things that I doubt I'll buy though.
Oh, I should have continued. Go ahead.
The Jack the Ripper content.
No. That's just the Jack the Ripper part. Content will be available standalone or as part of the season pass, which also includes the following, and then it lists all the stuff. So you don't have to play
Season pass.
Assassin's Creed. Wait,
Oh wait, it's saying it's standalone without the game,
that's what I imagine standalone means.
or is standalone DLC?
Oh,
like,
no. Yeah, standalone DLC. That would make more sense.
Right.
My
Because
apologies.
usually they do break it up to where you can buy like because the season pass in the past has included like maps, multiplayer characters, but usually you can buy like individual chunks of it, for a little bit of a markup. It's something cool. I mean, I'm gonna have to fall in love with Syndicate right away after the Unity debacle last year that we've talked about time and time again, that everyone's talked about time and time again. So they've really got to impress me as not a long time fan. I mean, I came into the franchise late, but as
More of a fan than us.
more than a fan than anyone in this room probably.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with Assassin's Creed.
For way longer than you have been a fan, I've been a casual observer.
There is merit to that.
I have heard of Assassin's Creed.
I have read the comic books.
They're comic
There are
books?
I haven't read them, but there are some comics.
So you just lied to us.
You're right. I was coming from like a
Yeah, whatever.
hypothetical
Could you say
perspective.
that you
Whatever.
Jack the Ripper does? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like that.
I'm interested in I think the only other time they've dealt with like actual historical figures, correct me if I'm wrong, was in 3 with the American Revolution.
Well, no, they've always dealt with. There've always been like historical guest stars in the games. Like, I mean, it was kind of harder in like 1 where you have guys in the Crusades because no one knows other than scholars and people that are taking history 101.
We all like to pretend we know more about the Crusades than we do.
Right, exactly. But it's one of those things. Like those guys were in there, but in like 2 you had like Machiavelli. Yes, he was in. Machiavelli was in 2. A guy that wrote The Prince.
Da Vinci.
DiCaprio was in. Yeah,
Shut
Da
up.
Vinci.
DiCaprio.
Da Vinci was in there. Like they've always had guys kind of on the periphery or like taking part somewhat in the story.
Did Blackbeard show up?
Blackbeard
once?
was in. Yeah, they had Blackbeard. Not Billy the Kid. That's a Western kid. Who's I don't know. Whatever.
Billy Idol.
Not Billy Idol.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas, definitely. They've had. It's one of those things. They've always had people in there. Some Enlightenment scientist was in Unity last year as part of like a DLC, like pre-order bonus.
It was what? No.
No, not Da Vinci. It was
Who's the guy with the?
I don't know, but like it's kind of the
Potions.
same thing. They have Darwin and stuff in
Yeah.
in this game coming up in Syndicate. So it's nothing new to the franchise.
Now, has it ever been like centric on any of those characters? Because this seems to be like they are marketing it as Jack the Ripper DLC.
I mean, there was a George Washington DLC for Assassin's Creed 3 where it's like a kind of an alternate storyline, alternate universe where George Washington became like a tyrant and he had one of the apples of Eden or whatever the pieces of Eden, and he kind of ruled with an iron fist over the new states. But I'm trying to think. I don't really think so. So this is interesting for sure.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting to me is they are taking like a monstrous figure in history and kind of placing him into this game, whereas like George Washington is seen as like an American hero, founding father.
Yeah.
like,
And of course, like I think that's why Assassin's Creed 3 is kind of one of the worst received, because you don't mess with George Washington.
right.
You don't do it.
And it's just going to be interesting to see how they handle this story, because Jack the Ripper being famous for slaughtering prostitutes.
That's one of the things they spoke to it on Podcast Beyond this week. Kind of, I think it was Andrew Goldfarb was talking about. It was kind of, I was listening to the voices. Sometimes I have trouble distinctifying them.
Distinctifying. That's a word.
Distinctifying. Absolutely. But generally when they do these things, it's always like this person was a Templar and he was doing these things that he was doing at the time because of these motivations, or he was an assassin, and vice versa. I really hope that they don't do that. I really hope that, because it's really hard to put a psychopath in that position, like kind of trying to explain their motivations.
To
And I
rationalize them.
There's value to doing that sometimes, to kind of rationalizing these characters. At the same time, though, like sometimes there's a lot of value in not doing that. So I really hope that he's just kind of this force to be reckoned with out in the world, and there's no why, whatever. Will that happen? I don't know. I'm sorry for
Thank you. It's okay. That's fine.
caressing you over there.
I think it's interesting as a story to engage in, because it's this mystery that still, although I think I would argue that they do have a pretty solid idea at this point of who it was, it's technically a mystery that wasn't really solved.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much they'll stick to like real life clues and evidence and real life suspects. That it could be a really cool historical thing.
How much time is between that period and the H.H. Holmes period?
About 30
I know it's a long time, but
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
like
crazy.
20s, right?
but
I just listened to a podcast about him this week.
it would be cool if they
There's also a great documentary on Netflix.
you can jump around and you just start hunting down serial killers after the Jack the Ripper situation.
Assassin's Creed: Criminal Minds.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to go back to the point that you just brought up, because Jack the Ripper has this. There's a ton of true crime stuff written about him, or as some believe her, and there are countless theories. So it's like, how do you even decide if you're gonna go off of some sort of lore, which one you're going to stick to about it? Because we call him Jack the Ripper because we have no idea who it actually is. So like George Washington, you can look at his life and his personality, and you can try to throw some flesh on that story based off of knowledge that we have about him. But we don't know. All we know is the nature of the crimes of Jack the Ripper, not who Jack the Ripper is. And we have conjecture about it because we have crime analysts and people who try to evaluate like the psychology of killers and stuff like that. And with it being such an overwhelming realm of beliefs about who Jack the Ripper is, like how do you do justice to some subsets of people who are involved in reading and understanding and knowing without alienating other people who care a tremendous amount about that case and have deeply held beliefs about who Jack the Ripper was and what his motivations were, and even down to however they decide to paint him with feminist interest groups and those sorts of things. You know, like
I mean, that's one of those things that this franchise usually does pretty well with integrating historical fact with some fiction or speculation in there. Will they be kind of trying to cater this to the most kind of niche historical audience all the way? No, they're gonna throw a ton of entertainment value in there, or try to at least. So that's one of those things that I think they'll kind of try to touch on a little bit, but not necessarily go all out on.
Right.
Now the picture, I don't know if there was one there or not, but he's kind of, or this character is supposed to be kind of like wrapped up in the face, kind of hidden in shadow, things like that. They could make Jack a woman, Jackie the Ripper.
Right, and I don't mean so much as that, but like Assassin's Creed is one of those games that tries to get you, and correct me if I'm wrong, it tries to get you to weigh the moralistic options of what you're doing and like who you're killing, and it's about this
varying success,
right, and it's this infighting between the Assassins group and the Templar group, and so I understand like the historical fiction aspect of a Jack the Ripper movie or something like that, where you get kind of one perspective of being able to tell it, and it's not necessarily a character piece about who Jack the Ripper is, but rather a pursuit of discovering who Jack the Ripper is. Whereas in this, not that you're playing as Jack the Ripper, but you're given agency over how you handle and deal with Jack the Ripper. And I think that adds another dynamic to it that makes it a little harder to approach as a historical fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they've done what they want to do. They piqued my interest about it. A guy who doesn't generally play a lot of Assassin's Creed.
Now you should not buy this game. I
just
tell
for
you
the
now,
right,
because you never play them.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next item on the list: Rainbow Six Siege is going to ship with 11 maps. I'm sorry. I should have corrected it on the show notes. But with 11 maps and all upcoming DLC for it is going to be free. Pause that real quick and then throw this up there. This computer's struggling. All right, there we go. Rainbow Six Siege launches. It says Rainbow Six Siege is set to launch with 11 maps, though more will be released down the line, according to one of the game's developers. Speaking to PC Gamer, level designer Benoit Deschamps confirmed how many maps would be included when the game is released, explaining the final figure was whittled down from a pool of over 50 potential concepts. Quote, "As for now, yes, there are 10 maps, but we have more planned because we're already working on more content for players after launch." And then it's set to go into its beta soon. We all have access to that beta. Hopefully, we've all gotten our codes, and we'll be able to do that. So my question to you guys is: 11 maps for an online-only game, is that enough?
Halo 4 did it.
Well, that was
10.
one of my big complaints about
is
Halo
that
4.
enough?
Is it enough? I mean,
Going back to my point in the notes there.
did you say Halo 4?
Yes.
My bizzle. I had some difficulty today.
I think it depends on how they approach it, because I think just a base of 10 maps would be enough. But with Halo 4, it was you had 3 sets of maps that were only available in 3 different sets of game types. And when you divide it like that, essentially you have 3 to 4 map playlists.
Right. Now I think
That's not
because this will probably pull from some like first person shooters like Call of Duty and style and things like. There's usually a lot I think a lot of games really launch with only like 10 to 11, 12 maps, something like that nowadays. But usually there's a lot more integration in terms of game modes. Like I guess Halo 4, especially since it was 343's first try with the franchise, really. Maybe there was some experimentation, maybe some misunderstanding of how things should work there at that time. I think this can be done. I really dig that they're doing the free DLC thing. Who's the green here?
That's me.
Okay, hey Greenie.
With Halo 4, it makes sense to divide them just because a big team map for a 4-man capture the flag game would be atrocious.
Yeah, yeah.
But you also need to compensate and put enough maps
That's
in
the
each
thing. Like
playlist.
Halo needs more maps because you have so many more. Because you've got those big team game modes, and you've got to really compensate for that because you don't want half your things in a game type that most of your people don't play. Most people, I assume, go for like your classic Team Slayer. The thing about this DLC is interesting. You were talking about it being a short-lived to something like Evolve or to Titanfall to some degree. That's my big concern too about this game. Is like when you have a game that's only online, only has so many maps, only so many game modes. It's almost like there's a level of depth missing. I don't know how to rectify that necessarily. Because also it's like Evolve almost because it's a kind of not necessarily niche, but really.
No, it's niche because it's very strategic, and most
Exactly.
online shooter players don't want to play strategic; they want to run it.
Right, it is very strategic, and that's it's one of those things. Just like Evolve, you've got to really think about what you're doing, and while there is definitely merit to that, and you should always be kind of carefully considering what you're doing in a shooter, not kind of relying on reflex. It's one of those things that's really cool for a few weeks when it comes out, and then until it's not.
Yeah, well, and going back to like your point about Halo 4 and about Call of Duty and those sorts of games, the difference is Halo 4 has a campaign that is a big chunk of the $60 you spend on that game. Call of Duty has a campaign that's a decent chunk of the $60 you spend on that game. There's no story, at least that they've announced. There's really no campaign unless it's like a Titanfall kind of campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And Titanfall released with 14 maps, and they regularly put out more maps, and they were paid DLC. But if you're gonna make yourself one-dimensional, you need to make yourself dense in the one dimension you choose, which is not what 11 maps says to me. It does, especially with it being a strategic thing, and people are gonna figure out like, okay, there's one really good way to play this map, like. And because you know how people are, they're going to go in, they're going to play it, they're going to break it, they're going to figure out perfect strategy, they're going to put YouTube videos up. Other people are going to study it, and it's just going to be like, that's not all that fun.
Or you're gonna, I like to think of things like when I might have used this analogy before on the podcast, but when you're a kid and you're playing with like your toy lightsabers, and sometimes you try to use some form and be like a real Jedi. And do some twirls and some stuff like that, and then you get that other kid that comes against you with a lightsaber, and he just starts slashing and hacking, and it's really hard to beat that because it's just straight up brute force coming straight at you. I get really frustrated when I do in these games try to be really strategic and think things through, and then the other team comes along just running and gunning, because there's a level of mayhem that it's really hard to combat. I don't know. I mean.
Well, and I think it's a little different than Evolve because Evolve, it's very open. Like the monster can roam wherever the monster roams. But in a lot of the stuff we've seen from Rainbow Six Siege, it's all centered on a building, centered on a point, centered on a hostage. And when everybody's like, when it's fixed where you're going and what your objective is, I think it can get a little staler than even an Evolve could. Where you're just running around. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't know how. I mean, from all I've seen from this game, there are multiple different ways to attack multiple different situations within this game, and especially with like the destructible environment side of this game, I don't think there's one set strategy that you can ever come up with that's going to be a tried and true, always going to work strategy. So I don't know if the people like, hey, here's how you need to play this map is really going to be that big of a thing to worry about because setting up in the bathroom may be the best thing to do at one point, but once people realize, hey, everybody sets up in the bathroom, they just blow up the bathroom first, and it's game over. Like, I think once the fact that this
when Ben comes over, he's going to be first to blow up the bathroom.
I think when you're talking about something that's as open-ended strategy-wise as this game is, going along with like the destructible environments, and you choose where you want to set up your stuff, and you choose where you want to attack the house or whatever. I don't know that you have to worry so much about an alternative strategy or the game being broken, I guess you can say. What I don't really understand, I guess, and where I'm okay with the maps is, like, we're talking Halo 4 and how they had different game types and how everything was, how the maps were spread out against different game types. From what I'm understanding for this, I assume the centering around even if it's different game types in Rainbow Six Siege, the centering around the different game types are going to be involved in one team taking a point from another team, whether that be capture the flag or whether that be fighting off a team that's attacking your position in like a deathmatch kind of style. Like, I feel like any of the match will translate into those situations. So I don't know that it really is a huge worry to have only 11. I feel, especially if they all translate to across every game type, I feel like it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
When the Master Chief Collection was coming out, a guy that did level design on the Halo games was on Podcast Unlocked, and he talked at great length about how it's almost impossible to design a map for multiple game modes because the balancing for a deathmatch is totally different than the balancing for a capture the flag.
Right, when it comes to Halo.
I think, but he was talking just broadly and in general that, like, you can't make balanced maps for a bunch of, and so the way that they develop it is like, all right, this is a capture the flag map, and then secondary, it might work for team deathmatch,
just to get some rotation,
like to get a little bit of rotation in there, but that no map is optimized to do multiple things, and you're gonna get that, and I don't know what the map selection system is going to be like, but if it's a voting kind, it's like you're only going to play on this map because it's it plays the best for this game mode, and you won't get people voting for that same map on a different game mode if that's the way it works. I imagine it's probably going to be playlists, but regardless, like, I don't think you're going to get that varying, like, this level works for team deathmatch and saving the hostage. And have we seen any game modes that are more than one life though out of this game?
I don't think so.
I think not on that point, but I think Titanfall did a fine job of their maps were useful. Like, I think every map was playable for every game type, and it worked fine with that game.
Right.
So it can be done. And I think all the concerns that you've brought up are very valid. Hopefully they've thought about this. Hopefully they've put lots of thought into how could this map be broken. But if their goal is to be a strategic shooter, a key part of strategy games is strategies and counter strategies, and if they've done their job well, then it won't be something where you lock into one thing. There may be one thing that's really strong, but there'll always be that one thing that can overcome it. The Zerg Rush sucks, but if you know how to deal with the Zerg Rush, you can pull through and destroy the stupid.
And I would agree with the point of that, like the maps can't vary for different game modes. If this was a neutral, each team is neutral kind of game, but you have an attacking team and a defending team, like that's the gist of it, all the gameplay we've seen, and that's really the core of a siege. Anyways, you have somebody who's defending the siege and somebody who's causing the siege to like who's participating in the siege. Sieging, yes, and in order for this game to be true to its namesake, I mean, if it's gonna just be a shooter, then that's fine. Everybody just runs on a big map and tries to run at each other and kill each other. But I feel like everything we've seen has been one team's defending, one team's attacking, and if that state holds true to all the game modes, then I feel like even if they do translate over good like Titanfall did, I feel like they'll have no trouble with the balancing when it comes to different game modes, because you'd have one team that's always defending their flag in the structure, one team that's trying to get the flag, and then it rotates. The team that was defending now is attacking that flag, trying to figure out how to get to it, you know. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that would translate well for a game like this. It would be easy to make those transitions.
I want to talk about the DLC for a moment and the idea of it all being free, and go back to the idea about Evolve, you know. And we talked about this on 3 Topic Thursday, but like everybody got on Evolve because their prices were kind of outrageous for skins and you know, that sort of stuff. But one of the things they did not do was divide the community with for sale DLC, and all maps that were released for free, correct? Mm-hmm. And so as consumers, we look at that and we're like, man, that's really, really good. However, we saw a multitude of Evolve games on the shelves used within a week of Evolve coming out. Like, it just lost its steam. And so it's interesting from an industry perspective with the free map DLC, because we see it as a fan service. Like, you're not making us pay for something that would otherwise divide the community. But from the standpoint of the industry, like when you release a game and you have a map pack, we pay $30, $35 for Destiny's 2 expansion packs when it comes out. You've got people who are going to hang on to that game until that DLC comes out because they've already spent money on it. Mm-hmm. And so it keeps used games off the shelf by giving you an investment to look forward to and say, well, I maybe don't like the game now, but I'll wait until this comes, until I fulfill this.
It can. The difference, I think one of the biggest differences that maybe we haven't spoken to yet on this show is that these games like Evolve, like Siege, that are really kind of fire team based, almost like Destiny, but a little bit more so. Really, you just don't get the same level, of a grand experience if you're playing alone. You really need to have, communication. And sometimes you can get that with randoms online, but most of the time, I'd say 75% of the time, you can't because you've got a couple clowns without a microphone or a couple guys that just want to run around and run and gun while you're trying to do something strategically or vice versa. It's one of those things where, again, like you need friends to get the most out of the game. I was miserable playing Evolve most of the time when I was alone, but like the couple times that we got on together, or like when I was with Brian or Mike or some of those guys I play with on the side, it was a blast. But again, it's one of those things that just kind of lost steam, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this game after a short time.
I think this game will have enough nostalgia to carry it through to at least its first bit of DLC. I think enough people are attached to it and looking forward to it. I may be wrong, but I just don't think Evolve drew a huge base in the first place.
Not huge, no. I mean, I'm sure a lot of what it had came from like Left 4 Dead fans and things like that who were excited about this kind of multiplayer experience. And
this is kind of a side point. I'm sorry, I'm gonna drag us down another rabbit hole. But I hated that Evolved failed, and I'm gonna be kind of sad if this one fails. And Titanfall didn't fail really, but it wasn't a big booming success that lasted a long time. Whereas, like, I don't feel like Call of Duty multiplayer or Halo multiplayer has that much variety to it. It's basically the same thing again and again. And I don't know. We as gamers, like, oh, they just released the same game again and again and again. But I keep seeing these new types of games come out, and we don't buy them.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, yeah, that's why no one makes the different games. It's too risky.
Mm-hmm.
Is there enough nostalgia really to grip people in this game? Like, I know Rainbow Six is a big franchise, but I feel like this looks so different from the way that Rainbow Six used to be, And at what point do you lose the nostalgia, or is it just the name that can?
I was just
carry
banking on the name, but I could be wrong.
I think you get the name nostalgia with initial attachment to it. People are like, I love Rainbow Six, I'm going to come in. But if they come in and it's like, well, this is getting stale, they're not going to hang around for 2-3 maps to release in a couple weeks, So I don't know if nostalgia can carry them through those first few weeks if there's just not enough there. All right, that all?
Can I address another side point?
Oh, yes.
I just want to get your thoughts on this, because you considered Destiny as one of these squad-based shooter games.
To a degree, yeah, in a different way.
I feel like the Crucible, Destiny is more run and gun than most games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because again, it's it's an Activision title. It pulls a lot from Call of Duty, and the Bungie side brings a little bit of Halo in, but not so much because there's not nearly as much map control there. But one of the biggest things, especially like around launch time, I had other friends buy the game and like immediately return the game or just stop playing it because certain missions you can only do with other people. Certain, like some of your strikes, your nightfall, your raids, etc. And at the time, like, and it's still now to a degree, like you can't get everything you want out of the Crucible. Still, like you can't.
What do you mean? You mean by yourself or just?
Like, well, no, just in general, like, because one of the big things, I think, trying to draw in single players with the Taken King, and we'll talk to this a little bit later, but not very much, is people who just like the Crucible and things like that can get up to like 290, but really
It's really
it's a
grindy.
little harder, and it is really grindy because you're just doing the same thing over and over again. You're going to get a lot more by going in with friends and doing those quests that are some of which are too difficult to do alone, unless you're just really, really freaking good.
Yeah.
Okay, so your squad comment is taking the game as a whole.
Right.
Gotcha.
Now, again, there is value to playing alone, but again, most of the people that I know that have tried it have not enjoyed the game nearly as much as I have, having other people to play with.
Now, what's funny to that statement that you made there is with this update, it's made it a lot more squad based in the PvP kind of aspect with like Rift and the zone control. I can't remember what it's called, but those are very hard to play by yourself. So it's interesting. He said that they try to appease more single player people, but I feel like those game types are really, you have to have people with you to be successful.
Okay.
All right. Next item on the list. EA says that there is currently no paid DLC on the table for their upcoming release of Need for Speed. And if I can find my mouse here, I will go to it. All right, it says Electronic Arts and Ghost Games have stated that Need for Speed doesn't contain any microtransactions. The Need for Speed FAQ says there are no microtransactions in the racing game. In addition, Ghost Games claims no paid DLC isn't on the table currently for Need for Speed. Quote, we plan to release a series of free content updates for Need for Speed. We currently have no plans for any paid DLC. And then I think it's funny because IGN goes on to say, wow, Need for Speed won't have microtransactions. The racing game does require an online connection. Thoughts on this?
I really like the idea for your DLC because, again, it's one of those things where you don't have to put up money up front or whatever, or pay more to enjoy the game more later on. I think that's going to bring people in. That being said, there's got to be something where they're going to be trying to draw a little extra cash in.
It's Activision.
Because it's Activision. Because
No.
it's
This
EA.
EA.
Oh, sorry.
The other head of the
other
dragon.
Activision.
Hydra.
Yeah.
Electronic Activision.
It's there. It's going to happen. They're going to try to get your money some way.
Between this and the Rainbow Six thing, I wonder if we're seeing some companies take note of how much the consumers loved how The Witcher approached things. I wonder if that's kind of affected, caused this to happen to a point.
Oh yeah, The Witcher. I mean, Rocket League being free and then having a little bit of paid DLC, but also having free DLC also. I mean, I feel like that maybe isn't the most successful business model ever, but it is successful because it's one of those things that everybody loves, and I'm sure a lot of people have put down money on Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
It's successful to the point where I played maybe 30 or 40 minutes of The Witcher, but if CD Projekt Red makes another game, I'm going to buy it because they did so well, like with the customer base putting out The Witcher, that I want to support them. And that I've played 45 minutes of their game, and I want to buy the next game they make because of that. So I'm not the majority by any means, but
One man.
One man.
One majority. I don't know. I keep going back and forth about this because I do kind of have that hesitation. Like, all right, no paid DLC on the table, but if you want to actually play the game, you got to buy this whole other disc. You can't download it. It's
we got you. We're gonna sell you
it's not
$20
downloadable content. It's disc content. We're going back to the olden days. But I don't know. That's something like something like that would stop me from buying the game, but it wouldn't be that ridiculous. It's something that I'm probably going to check out. Need for Speed games most of the time are pretty fun.
Was there DLC in Rivals? Because I don't think there was.
I don't think there was. Well, there were like cars and things
Oh.
that you could buy. I think
Right.
there were some.
But those
things.
are microtransactions still.
Yeah. So it's been a while. I'm trying to think back. They did have like a game. I don't know if Game of the Year edition is the right word, but like a beefed up edition with extra stuff in there that you could get released later on. But
What I'm wondering is if this is because DLC is the stark contrast to DLC exists because of people buying used games. And we had a story a few months ago, and I'm just kind of piecing all this together in my brain right now, that said that EA saw the majority of their sales coming digitally, right? I'm pretty sure I remember us covering a story like that. It may have been those weeks where you were out. But then there's no threat of a used copy of the game getting onto a shelf. So I wonder if it's somewhat of a reaction to that, of like, we're selling a lot of our games via digital. Like, like people are downloading our games, and so we're getting not only the money we would get from a new sale in a store, but even more money because it's cheaper to produce games digitally, like to distribute games digitally.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's partly that, and then partly that we're seeing a whole lot of people and this is just me guessing. I feel like a lot more software sales are happening for new games than have ever happened before. Like I have it in myself to always want to just go buy games when they first come out. Like, and I think we're getting more of that just across the board of people buying content new and not waiting. Because honestly, the $5 to me anymore, it's like paying $5 less for a used game. I'd rather just buy it new,
especially
and get the joy
at the beginning. Yeah,
getting the plastic off.
You have to wait 6 months to get a really meaningful price drop there. I agree. I mean, I've seen it. A lot of the games that I've tried to go and get, usually you don't see too many sellouts, especially around here. It's in a small town America. Until Dawn, I tried to go get the first day, sold out. Back when not Phantom Pain, Ground Zeroes came out, that 2-hour game, sold out here. It was kind of weird. They almost sold out a Rare Replay when I went to pick it up in town. They had a couple of copies left, Rare Replay. So I don't know if it's to this really escalated level yet, but I do think that you're onto something there, that more people are going out and investing in things new right off the bat.
And for where I'm at now, like I've gotten to the point where I try to invest in a company if I really like what they've done. But what really took me out of the used market initially was I feel like GameStop's used games used to be a really great deal, and I feel like just a few years back, it just, like you said, it's only like a $5 difference, and I don't care that much about $5 if I can get a game that's brand new. So.
And like you never know. I'm one of those weird guys. I always think when I'm buying a used game, like,
you're like, someone has pooped on
like,
this.
where has this person's hands been? Like, you never know what they've been rubbing or touching, or if they've been washed. And
Seth just licks the disc the first time.
Absolutely. And you've got people like that. You have to worry about those things. Like, people don't want to leave their mark, and then like,
do we have to worry
and then
about
throw
that,
something out into the world? I do.
don't think that I've never had to worry about this.
Well,
kind of
maybe
I've never had that thought.
Maybe you should. Like, every once in a while you'll get a disc and it has like a big stain, or like not a big stain, but like a little bit of a stain on
Where are you buying your games?
at GameStop. Like or like some kind of weird discoloration or something on the top of the disc, and I'm
my
like,
dog took a dump in the house and I didn't have any pooper scooper.
and
so I just used the
you've got
disc.
people that do that, like pick up dog exactly. They like pick up dog crap with their bare hands and then like go in and immediately put a disc in the drive to go play.
Well, I want to start this thing installing. Can't wait to watch my.
Exactly. There are people like that. I knew a guy. I mean, we knew the same guy. It's the guy who we no names, but we talked about at my incident at the bar recently. Beer he brought me, man. He used to take poops. He had IBS. He was pooping all the time, and he would not wash his hands. And he used to like cook for people all the time.
He's a busy man.
Like he's
got to get to cooking.
He would
gotta get to cooking. I can't stop.
And he would like always be that guy at the party that was like, "You got anybody want some French toast, man?" And I'm the only guy sitting there. I'm like, this guy doesn't wash his hands. What do I do? What do I do? Like, I don't want to slap a plate out of somebody's hand and be like, no. There are people like that out in the world, though, and of course, when you confront them, they're like, I got to keep my immune system up. You wash your hands too often.
Ryan in the chat, Mad Brock, he says the cases are bad enough. That is absolutely true. That's one of the. There are times where I'll go in and I'm like, I'm just going to buy this game used, and I will walk out not buying it, even if they've got 4 copies and all the cases are just look like somebody has done everything you've described that they've done to it.
Exactly. The cases are bad enough, and like, you just got to think, man. Like, those discs, they could have been put places.
All right, and Power of North says that his favorite character on Breaking Bad is Gus. Thank you for that. All right, moving on.
Gus is also my favorite character in Psych. Just kidding, it's not. He's not.
He's a great character, though. All right, moving on.
We'll be getting a $10 refund.
GameStop won't sell
Continue following this story
console
here
bundles that
at
include digital
IGN.
games. This is from IGN. Brian Albert writes, GameStop will no longer sell console bundles that include digital copies of games. During a recent company earnings call, GameStop executives detailed a new plan to only
giving
sell
half of
console
this nice
bundles that
new.
include physical
GameStop
games
will
rather
no
than
longer
digital
sell
codes.
console
Quote,
bundles that
I think what's
include
interesting to
digital
us is that
copies of
consumers have a
games.
pretty
During a
strong
recent
preference in
company
this,
earnings
and I
call,
think we've
executives
seen this
detailed
play
a
out
new
in a
plan to
variety
only
of
sell
ways
console
over the past
bundles
few
that
years.
include physical
Consumers
games
prefer
rather than
those
digital
physical
codes.
bundles because they
CEO
know
Paul
that the
Rain
disc
said,
has
"I
value
think
in
what's
the
interesting
in
to
the
us is that
trade-in
consumers
program
have a
at
pretty strong
GameStop, so
preference
we
in this,
choose not to
and I think we've
participate
seen this
in
play out
the
in a
digital
variety of
bundles." I
ways
think
over
this is
the
really
past few
interesting
years.
off of the heels of the
Consumers prefer
conversation
those
that
physical
we
bundles
just had.
I was gonna
because
say
they
the
know
same
that
thing.
Now,
disc-
I want to kick us off here because I mentioned this when we looked at the Halo 5 Special Edition bundle. It's never made sense to me why a digital console, why a Special Edition console doesn't come with a physical game. Because those are your collectors. Those are your guys that have Halo 1, 2, 3, 4, ODST, Reach, Halo Wars sitting on a shelf, and they want to put Halo 5 on that shelf next to it. Like, why package a digital code into it? I don't necessarily think that same logic applies to any kind of a game, but what you have to also understand is, like, okay, Xbox, I think the very first game they bundled in was Forza 5. Is that right?
Sounds
Forza
right.
Motorsports 5? I think so. So, and it was one of those things where it came with every Xbox that you bought.
Mm-hmm.
And wouldn't it be more of a motivating factor to purchase a brand new console that comes with a physical game that even if I'm not interested in it, I can turn around and trade it in? Then you inundate your shelves with used copies of Forza 5. But if you're including it free in the thing anyway, like, might as well just take your lumps. But I'd be more willing to buy a brand new console for $40 more than a used console if it comes with a game that I can then turn around and trade in for $20 of trading credit. That said, because I just talked myself out of that, if that's happening too much, you're going to end up getting 35 cents for that thing. So it doesn't have much value in your trade-in program, GameStop. Anyway, what were you guys' thoughts on this?
I think, again, coming off the heels of our previous conversation, of course GameStop is doing this because they thrive off of those used game sales. They want you to trade in those free games that something comes with, or something that you get and play for a little bit because it came with like a $20 add-on or whatever to the bundle. Again, that's something they can turn around. It's something they can move time and time again if they want to.
This surprised me because initially, like, when I first started reading this, I did not expect that the big players were going to go along with GameStop. Mm-hmm. And it showed me that they still wield a little bit more power than I thought they did.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the article continues. It says GameStop already began this practice last month with the release of Madden 16. Instead of carrying the Xbox One digital Madden bundle, the retailer worked with its partners to offer a free physical game with the purchase of a console. Quote, "We expect that if a game is provided as a promotional item in a hardware bundle, GameStop will see more of these physical offers than digital pack-ins on upcoming third-party releases," end quote. And that was from COO Tony Bartle. This... We've talked a lot about how, like, Microsoft and Sony depend on brick and mortar stores to sell their hardware because you can't download a controller, you can't download a console, you can't download a new hard drive. Sorry, you can't download more RAM space, and you can't download a hoagie.
You can't.
But when you can, the day that you can, I will be thrilled. So this does just show you, like, GameStop still has pull with these guys. And that's important as we begin to look at the future, because this time last year, I'd have been like, we may be seeing kind of the slowing down of the GameStops. I don't go in there near as much as I used to, mostly because I don't want to spend a bunch of money.
Not as much. I still do enjoy, as somewhat of a savvy shopper, like my rewards benefits from there. Even though they're kind of slow in coming, like when holiday season comes around and I'm buying game after game, I get some points added up, and then I get some money.
They are still my first stop to purchase a game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unless Amazon has it for like a ridiculously cheap, like they do sometimes. But I'm usually willing to drop like an extra couple bucks or whatever to get those rewards benefits, things like that.
With all of that being said, it does sort of seem like a last-ditch effort from GameStop.
I could see that, yeah.
It seems kind of like a last gasp of, oh no, because we've gone almost 2 years now with digital-only bundles. There hasn't been a physical bundle that's released, I don't believe, on the Xbox, unless it's one of the used bundles where they throw in a game when you purchase it. Uh-huh. And so it does kind of seem like just trying to catch wherever their fingers can to keep climbing up that mountain that they're quickly slipping from. Ben, your thoughts?
I don't know. I like I'm still like debating in my head now because I'm thinking like how sweet would it be to have my Destiny console and have just Destiny on the like. It is my Destiny console. It's digital.
And you have just a whole nother PS4.
Yeah. Yeah. But I've always been against digital games. I've always had that stance because I don't like not having a tangible thing that I can hold and I think this fights. I mean, I think they're going to see an increase in customized consoles or like version specific consoles if they do this because they're not only are they getting their money back for the used game market, but they're also like you've got a tangible thing. The people that are like me that don't want a digital copy that may at one point in time not belong to them anymore. They want to have a physical copy that they can hold on to and use, and I think it's important to have that. And I'm much more apt to buy something that's game specific if I can get a digital copy rather than because I remember back when we bought our Vitas, it came with a digital copy of Walking Dead, and how much cooler would it have been if we had the physical copy, and not have all that memory eating away at our Vita space.
Yeah, and it makes a little bit more sense in a game in like that kind of a platform where, unlike now, when you put in a disc, you're still downloading the whole thing onto your hard drive, but like you took up the majority of the 8 gigabyte or 4 gigabyte memory card that came with it. So I thought it was interesting. Oh, and this links to the incorrect article. I apologize, guys. Anyway, next item on the list. I don't have an article for this, but Konami says, well, rumors say that Konami is wrapping up console production on everything other than Pro Evolution Soccer and moving to a focus on the mobile. We've known that this is coming from a mile away, but they've also been adamant that they're going to try to continue the Metal Gear franchise, even in as much as like putting out job listings for people who can continue the Metal Gear franchise. But it looks like they're moving away from the consoles. Thoughts?
I wonder if this was part of the mysterious issue with Hideo Kojima. I really botched that name.
No, it was right. It was good. It sounded really nice.
I stumbled over it, rather. I botched.
What do you mean?
Like, we don't really know what their falling out was. I wonder if he didn't like their direction of pulling out of consoles. Even though it looks like they're going to continue Metal Gear.
Well, it doesn't. At this point, it doesn't. It used to look like they were going to continue Metal Gear. And now what I'm afraid of, and Seth will be able to talk about this a little more when he comes out here,
I guess I'm pooping.
is that we are going to see... It's going to be a sad day when it's like, hey, guys, Metal Gear Mobile coming on out for your iOS devices.
It's like that Walking Dead game where you go from room to room as Snake.
And Silent Hills Go... Like play this scary horror game on the subway, you know. That's going to be a sad.
Wear your headphones.
Like they've got these IPs that people love, that they're now going to cheapen with. You are out of keys to enter this room. Pay 99 cents for a flashlight recharge. You know, Seth, we're talking about Konami moving out of the console space. And what this may mean for Metal Gear.
Before we get on to that, is that giant brown spider in your bathroom dead?
It is dead,
okay.
yes.
Okay, right on.
It's still really messed up.
I was real nervous the whole time. I didn't want to pee on your floor, but I did think about it.
Flamethrower.
I agree with you. I was listening from the restroom because you have like the least private door in the world.
It's like a salon. It's like a saloon door.
Yeah, it's got little shutters on it. I agree. These games typically, like we've seen things like on the PSP Metal Gear Acid or whatever it was.
What?
A couple other.
You can't say that on the show.
Okay.
You've been doing well, Ben.
Peace Walker was like one of the more successful kind of things like that. It's one of the most celebrated. But then again, I think people forget about Acid and other things like that weren't nearly as successful. Silent Hill hasn't really had a big hit, I would say, on a mobile platform like the Vita. But it's just these things. Konami, these two huge franchises are some of the most like cinematic, some of the most intriguing entries out there right now, and have been for years. So it's really hard to get that on a mobile platform, and I guarantee you they can't do it on a phone, like something that is that meaningful to so many people and really kind of gets you that narrative experience that you really pay for and keeps bringing people back to things like these games, like Metal Gear and Silent Hill. The list goes on. If they really are done with platform gaming, I don't think they've got it. I don't think they've got much farther to go.
Right. And Konami exists in a whole slew of other spaces, and they're moving there because not as a last-ditch effort, but because they feel like they can make money there. If they wanted to just abandon games altogether, they'd just sell off the IP and
exactly
get out of Dodge, you know, like because they can afford to do that.
Now, it would be really interesting to see if they could sell these things off to someone who could take them in a different direction.
They can sell these things off.
Well, I guarantee you they can. I guarantee you can. I guess I should have said, will they? Will they? Because if they think that they can make some money off a mobile platform, you know, with lots of microtransactions, you buy lunch boxes or whatever, they're gonna try it. But I just don't.
You can't even keep.
You can't even keep.
What's up, Connor G2399?
You kind of. Yeah, like I said, I don't. They might try one or two games like that, and then. Again, I hope that they will, if this is the case, sell these off to people who will treat them with the love and respect that they deserve. Making out.
Oh man. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Would you put an offer in on Metal Gear to buy it?
I will give you $20.
21.
That was it for the news.
News with the podcast guys.
And now we
Very
move
good.
on because we've got reviews. Reviews for you. All right, Ben.
Yes.
That's not how this goes. Ben,
Talk to me.
you got a
You're
little.
supposed to
You
do
got
that.
you got a chance to play.
Do it to me. Oh, never mind.
You messed up.
What? Did I?
You're supposed to do no.
Oh, my
You
fault.
talk
Okay,
to me.
sorry, Ben.
Yeah. Yes. Talk to me.
No, you talk to me because you and Seth.
Talk to me.
No, you talk to me because you two have been playing Destiny: The Taken King expansion. Now we've talked at length about the updates to the systems that came last week, so I don't want to rehash a lot of the stuff that we brought out last week. But in terms of the stuff that you didn't get access to until this thing unlocked, not at midnight last Tuesday, but at 5 in the morning last Tuesday.
Yeah, I learned the hard way. I
You
didn't
guys
really
were very
listen to
disappointed.
that.
They
Very
stayed up till
sad.
midnight.
Can I start off and then
You
let
go right
you
ahead,
take the
dude.
major
You go
reins?
right ahead if you want
What
to.
I want to assuage you guys of, and you could purchase this and feel totally different from me, but we'll see. We've spoken a little bit about it on the side, but the storytelling in this is much better than it has been in any other update so far.
Night and day.
Night and day. I mean, you can get through the main story in a couple hours. I'll give you that. The main story.
I think it took me 3 or 4.
Yeah, I'd say 3 or 4 for me too. Because I did it mostly alone. Like, a couple people popped in with me here and there, but the cutscene stories, things like that, they're limited. Yes. Now there are much better cutscenes. There's a lot more characterization, to the major players in there, like your vanguards, yada yada yada, Eris Morn, Varix, all those cats. Now what they do accomplish very well, I think, this time is if you pay, you've got to pay a little bit of attention still, but in your interactions, like in your ghost transmissions from other people, with the conversations you have with your ghosts, there are story missions, like not necessarily story missions, I should say, like not major campaign, but through the other quests that you get on the side, you get a whole other list of missions, and those missions actually a lot of the time deal with things that kind of information that you might get from your grimoire cards, things like that. Praedyth from like a lot of the loot that you get from the first raid, the Vault of Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got Praedyth's Revenge, Praedyth's Timepiece, yada yada.
Yes.
You actually go into the vault at some point, like back to the vault, and because you're
Spoiler
receiving
alert.
transmissions. This isn't really. It's not really a spoiler. Actually, I will give you a major. I won't give you a spoiler.
He is actually George Washington.
You're getting a message from what appears to be Praedyth, like lost in time somewhere, and you're going into the vault looking for him, I guess, to see if you can find him or whatever. And you start getting a lot of the lore through your ghost and through I think it's the Warlock Vanguard who's talking to you.
Yeah, it's like Corvée. Yeah.
And she's kind of explaining to you about KB or whatever his name is, Pradith, and whoever else it was that went into the vault once upon a time, hundreds of years ago. And the same thing goes with, like, you know, there are continuations of the Wolves quests from House of Wolves. They really pull from the lore they've established a lot better in this. Now you've got to, of course, dive in a little bit to get there, but again, it's something they put much more on the forefront. The story is a lot deeper this go around.
But it sounds to me like you're saying it's better, but it's still not good.
No, I don't mean that at all. I am really, really happy with the way that this has gone down so far. It's just one of those things where, again, it's not going to all be delivered to you in a cinematic.
Put it this way. When you played Vanilla Destiny, you started playing and you got done playing, and you were at the same point emotionally throughout the entire process. Like, there wasn't really a lot of change. You started and you were like, what am I doing? And then you got in and you were still like, what am I doing? You got 75% in, you're like, what am I doing? And you got to the end, you're like, what did I just do?
Right.
This change has eliminated 100% of that. You start out, you are at the very beginning emotionally attached by what they show you. You get through, you become more emotionally attached in what you're doing by what you're doing with the main story, and you get to the end, and you understand completely what you've been doing throughout the process, why you're doing what you're doing, what your actions are doing to the universe around you, and what I'm trying to be as not spoilery at all, but so it's really hard to say that.
I know what you're saying, because, like, even though it's not, like, again, like I said, in a cinematic, you're getting things like every time you accept a quest, you know, just like another MMO, you read a little bit, you know, they speak a little bit out loud. Some you get from reading, but it's not all like Vanilla Destiny, where all you get really of the story is kind of a voiceover while you're driving to a planet. There's a little bit of that, of course, still. I mean, that's the setup for the mission while the loading's going on. But I don't know. Have you played many of the strikes, Ben, or anything like that?
Yeah, I played all of them.
You have played all of them now?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about those?
They're good. I think the coolest thing about the strikes and the side missions for me, when you played Vanilla Destiny, and I think that's why the story was so weird with Vanilla Destiny, because you played through the main story, but also, like, mixed into the main story, it took you through a bunch of side missions and it took you through a bunch of other crap. They do this very well, because the reason why it took me 3 hours to get through the main story is because you go through the main story, and then they start to give you, like, your Vanguard people and everybody else starts to give you
side quests.
The side quests to do the side missions and to do the strikes, and like it's explained a lot better why you're doing these side missions, like what the point is for going to this place and killing this person, why you're doing this strike to kill so and so, because they don't realize that you've already killed so and so, and you're going through, like, everything's explained a whole lot better, and it's hard to show that without being spoilery.
one thing we've spoken about, I think we did a little bit last week, but and I'll just be very quick on this. In the strikes and in the story missions, one thing they've done much better is kind of move away from as much of the bullet spongy bosses, things like that. When you go up against Oryx, he kind of has a few tricks up his sleeve. I played one strike for the first time last night, where you're playing against the big boss is a Vex. Not a Nexus mind, the restorative mind, and he's trying to revive the Nexus mind from Venus that you killed, like in a Vanilla Destiny strike.
I haven't played that one. I thought I played that one.
And one thing that you do, like, you have to manipulate relics and things like that in order to kind of get the boss to become vulnerable, and all the while it's kind of almost like a maze. There are a couple of walls that move around, and you have to kind of move from cover while not getting pushed around by these walls. It's I mean, there's a lot more variety to the gameplay in general, and I think that's what makes this such a great deal at $40.
I think honestly, and not being a fanboy, like, I feel like it's worth more than 40. Like, I feel like this is a new game.
Not being a new game, so you got like 4 or 5 hours of story added.
A few strikes.
But the content. Well, I'm just saying I haven't gotten through all the content yet of the PvE stuff. Like, I haven't. I've scratched the surface of the PvE content, but I feel like this feels like a new game. It feels like a brand new release, and it feels better than what Vanilla Destiny was at release.
A brand new release.
Yeah.
I'll
Honestly.
buy it.
Yeah.
That's fine though if you don't have to buy it, but
Yeah,
to
I
me that's what
struggle
it feels
with
like.
But it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
It was going to be a hard sell for me anyway. And just from what you told me, it's just like, Not worth $40
Yeah,
to me.
it definitely sounds like an improvement, but it sounds like the improvement that I should get for not much money at all because they didn't bother putting out a complete product in the first place.
Right.
All right.
I understand all that. It's just it's one of those things. Like I've fallen in love with the game since launch, and I keep getting roped back in every time I start to get away a little bit.
And after paying $130, I should feel like I have 2 new games when it comes out. Review in a word?
Bedazzled.
It's just got cheap plastic gems all over it, ladies and gentlemen.
It's it's a lot of new crap on an old thing, but it's really shiny and new. And again,
It's probably gonna fall off in a couple of weeks.
No, not even that.
Not even a couple weeks.
Nah.
Just kidding. I know what you mean.
It's a thorough bedazzling, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the dazzles.
Rekindle, I think is the word I would use, because I feel like if you're out, and in the vid docs they said this, like if you're out of Destiny, you stopped at 20 and you stop playing, now's the time to come back, and that's 100% true. Like if you're on the fence about coming back, I would strongly urge you to come back. It's a completely different game. The progression system is completely different. Like everything, if you hated vanilla Destiny, you're gonna like the Taken King.
I wish they'd give you some kind of demo or something for it.
They did.
See it. When?
Well, I mean, they kind of did. It was the 2.0 update.
Yeah, but that's nothing I don't still have access to.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm not going to shell for like me personally. I hopped on today to see how locked out I was going to be. I wanted to see how screwed over I was going to be if I didn't buy the Taken King.
Mm-hmm.
And through buying things from New Monarchy and those factions and such, I'll still be able to hit the light levels that I need to hit to be competitive. I know I won't have access to all the weapons people who buy the Taken King will, but I'll have access to weapons that are comparable enough that I can still be competitive. So all I'm lacking really are sounds like just a few hours of story, which sounds like it's better, but once again, I'd need a taste of it before I could.
Well, I'm saying a few hours of main story. That's when I say like 3 or 4 hours to complete. That was main story and not including side stuff.
Well, that's what I mean, if we count side stuff, I'm not considering side
Right,
stuff
okay.
when I say that I want a good story. Where it looks like it's going to get aggravating is in the multiplayer because you have all those new game types. And now what I have access to is 6v6 Classic, 3v3 Classic, and Free-for-all Classic. And I'm wondering if those Classic maps will circulate stuff like Control, or if I'm just locked into just killing each other. If that's the case, I feel like they're trying to push me to buy their stuff to still play with my friends. And, well, I mean, they are anyway.
They don't
What
give
I'm
you the
saying-
option for game type on Crucible without the update?
Just 6v6 Classic, 3v3 Classic, or Free-for-all Classic. And if they restrict me too much on that, it's going to have the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. They're going to push me to spend $40 more. They're going to push me to just sell their game again.
Yeah.
So if they want me to really believe that now's the time to come back, I need a demo. But clearly that's not going to happen. So
You can play mine.
I'm going to hang. I may take you up on that someday.
Just come on
But
to
for
the
now,
crib.
I'm just going to hang out. And
That's progress. That's progress.
They may. I'm hoping they'll.
I'm confident
cheapen it
enough.
someday.
I'm confident enough in the changes that I feel like you would want to purchase it after playing mine.
All right. Well, we'll see.
All right. Moving on to everybody's favorite segment, the random question of the week.
Random question of the week for the month for this week. Like that note's always weird. It changes every week.
It's a weird
It's
ball
because
note.
I change the note every week. I don't want the right one. All right. Here's our random question of the week. What, in your opinion, was the greatest controller of all time? Larry, we'll start with you.
I'm a big fan of the GameCube. I know
Explain
it
this
was.
to me because I hated the GameCube controller.
I don't know. I just enjoyed it. I liked that C stick. I liked having a joystick. I don't know. It was like a small, very easy to hold version of what eventually became the norm. I know the PlayStation is what really became the norm, but Nintendo's take on that PlayStation norm that eventually became the norm. I just liked it. It felt nice in my hands. It fits perfectly, and I feel like I'm snuggling an old friend.
Like the SNES.
As I often snuggle my friends.
I was like, why are all of these buttons different sizes and shapes? It didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that seems random.
And I'm very OCD about those sorts of things. I need uniformity.
I'm not.
So, all right. In my opinion, I think the most important controller was the DualShock 1, first one to have 2 analog sticks. Interesting tidbit I learned today, reading up on this. Ape Escape was the very first game that required the use of both sticks. One to control the camera.
I remember Ape
and one
Escape.
to I love that game. That game was awesome.
Don't remember that game.
So, Ape Escape being the first game to do that, but that kind of changed the way that we play games altogether. And being able to control your movement as well as the camera. Like, go back and try to play an old Metal Gear game and the fixed camera points that you have to move through. Or go back and play, like, the Battlefront games on PSP where you're having to use the D-pad to look around. I mean, to move, and then you're using the other face buttons to look around. And so... That game, so the DualShock 1 introducing the 2 analog controllers, I think, is the most important. But to me, the best is the Xbox 360 controller.
It's probably one of the most comfortable controllers.
In terms of its time and the offsetting of the analog sticks, which I guess the original Xbox had that as well. But the Xbox One didn't do it in something that was 4 times as big as it needed to be, like the original Duke controller. So
I would say
the
that
360.
Definitely, I think that was one of the. I don't know if you'd say the most innovative, but in terms of what's the hand term?
What?
Something's
Ergonomic?
Ergonomic. In terms of ergonomic design, definitely. I don't know if I prefer my Xbox One controller to my 360. I think I do.
I don't.
But I find a lot of value in the fact that how innovative at the time that was to have that controller with the offset joysticks, with that perfect kind of fit for the average human hand.
Mm-hmm.
Great little controller.
Behold.
Behold!
The atheist nightmare. That's
right.
a banana for those who don't know.
All right. Mad Brock says he didn't mind the Duke. It was huge. That controller was so big.
I mean,
You had to have,
I
like,
didn't
4
mind
hands.
I didn't mind it at the time, but because I just didn't know it was just a controller.
You know what was crappy about the Duke? Was the white and black button.
All right.
Those things sucked. Like making those into shoulder buttons was the smartest thing that the Xbox did. I feel like they were trying to be a little different from what we had on the market at the time, and then realized like the reason it's like that is because it makes sense.
Now, we didn't have as many fast-paced shooters, of course, at the time either, so it worked out a little better because you don't need to be lickety-split all over the place. Halo was, of course, like the original Xbox game, and of course you couldn't sprint anything like that, so you kind of. It worked out at the time. Now that we know better, though, as soon as we got that 360 controller, I mean, it was over.
The putting the white and the black up top, it made me laugh kind of when that change happened because I had a Pelican brand off-brand controller, and that's exactly where they put those buttons. They realized it made more sense.
Right, like everybody else at the time.
Right.
Because didn't the GameCube have 4 shoulder buttons?
Oh wait, no, they only had 3. It was weird.
3.
Yeah,
Get out of here, GameCube
Yeah.
controller. You were so drunk.
It was like the 64.
What I would like to see is, holding both joysticks has become so important, and I really hate having to take my thumb off to hit buttons. I would love to see a controller that's just joysticks on this side, your other triggers up here, and then the back of the controller is your other buttons.
Doesn't
They have
the
that.
Elite do that?
They have. Well, it's not a controller per se. It's like a.
That microphone.
Oh, it's not a
The
controller
thing that
per
is
se.
picking up your voice.
It's a thing you can get for your controller, and it has like these little arms that attach to the buttons, and you like move your thumb a certain way while you're on the control stick, or you can lift your finger up to hit the buttons that you need to hit.
It's more complicated than
Very
one
more
before,
complicated,
but it's a
yes.
step in the right
Yes.
direction.
Ben.
I had the 360 is on here, but then I realized, what controller do I love the most out of every controller I've ever played with? DualShock 4, man.
The only one that we bought before the console.
And I know it's the current thing, but that console is the bee's knees. Like that console is, the controller is great. Like that, I've never felt something that feels so right while playing something. Like everything fits. There's no everything's where it's supposed to be. I'll let your mind wander with this.
Nothing's
But,
ever felt so right to me. Not the fit of a shirt, not my marriage, not not my calling in life.
It's from the moment we bought those controllers early, and unwrapped them, and watched the little white light blink on the back.
Well, it tried to look for a PlayStation 4 that was off in a shipping warehouse somewhere,
Right.
waiting to be delivered to our GameStop.
I knew it would be my favorite controller, and thus it is so.
I just realized I'm laughing at you two for being lame enough to buy a controller before the console, but I totally bought the Titanfall controller before I bought my Xbox.
Yep,
I'm lame too.
you are. It's okay though. It's cool to be lame.
All right,
Lame's the new cool.
let's get out of here, folks. Go around the circle. Start with you, Ben.
I am Ben. You can find me on Twitter at Notre Hankins. You can also find me on Xbox at WhoBombTrady, 3 words, or on PSN at WhoBombTrady, all 1 word.
I'm Seth. You can find me on PlayStation Network if you want to play a little Destiny or something. I'm Buttzors, Buttzorz, Buttzors. Or if you want to play like some Gears Ultimate Edition, some Halo Master Chief Collection, whatever. Look for me at Dongzors, Dongzorz, Dongzors. I've got a little monopoly on the whole lower body thing going on with those tags. Talk to me.
I'm Larry Hunt. You can find me on Twitter at Larry Hunts Zombies, LARHUNTS Zombies. Also on Twitch, which I use today, but usually I'll use the Player 3 thing.
Awesome.
Today I did a boring thing of seeing how Destiny was going to screw me over. You wouldn't want that on the P3P page.
It's all right, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm Luke Croft. You can find me on Twitter at TK from Antioch. Find me on the PlayStation networks at Lodger Blackman.
That's
and
the one.
On Xbox Live at Download a Hoagie. We are the Player 3 Podcast. Watch us over here on twitch.tv/Player3 Podcast. Watch our YouTube videos. Subscribe on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher. Follow, subscribe, leave a review. Talk about how good Larry looks. Do all that sort of stuff. But we are the Player 3 Podcast.
Player 3 Podcast!
P3P. All right, go for it.
Hello and welcome to the Player 3 Party. The Player 3
You screwed
Podcast
it up!
After Party Lounge, where butt bucks continue to exist.
No, they don't.
So the way that this works is we don't get a ton of time to interact with our chat on the stream, and so if you have questions or things that you would like us to discuss, we do that here, or else we just kind of talk about what we're going to do for dinner, which is what it always kind of devolves into. Craig Jones, 123. Let's just go through some of the stuff that he told us during the podcast. He said, "Why don't you guys just play games instead of talking about them? I've been listening at it, and it's really sad that you're wasting your time talking about pointless crap. I just can't believe how in-depth they get talking about rubbish." So I told him, we can't afford games. Please send us money. And then he says, it's only games they're talking about, as if it's a huge thing and life could continue without discussing the pointless details. It's the reason you only have 4 viewers, and a few of them are probably yourselves. I'm not streaming rubbish. One day, you'll all look back and think, ha ha, I can't believe we did this pointless streams. We were so geeky. I'm neither watching or listening. Should have been nor. I'm informing you of your pointless rubbish. So.
Well, I mean, I can only hope to one day maybe aspire to have a life as thrilling as yours, Craig Jones, where I stop in and waste time telling people how pointless their stuff is.
It got me thinking.
Yeah?
And I think we're going to quit. Whatever the thing you just decided, the thing you've always wondered that I was going to do, we just did. We're done. I'm just kidding.
It's over.
And we're back. Oh, no, we're not back. Now we're back. Oh, I'm trying to get back. I clicked the wrong button. There we go. Now we're back. Good old Craig T. Jones. Micro says, I don't know. He would make me look bad if I stood next to him. A guy like that, I would have to stand quite far away from. I'm talking about you.
Do we know this person?
I don't think so.
Diz said, I'm glad we're friends.
No, because they
means
follow
like new
us.
friends.
Yeah, he's a new friend of ours. You don't think our fans are our friends?
Fish are friends, not food.
That's very true. Speaking of food, what do we want to do?
Ooh, I'm waiting for this all night.
Ooh, child of mine.
Tiger Pones, I'm sure you're a very attractive man.
That's not what that's supposed to say, but yeah.
What's
How many wives are going?
Read those 3 letters really fast.
Yeah, like Pones, noobs.
yeah, there you go.
How many wives are going to eat?
My wife is not, because my wife is sick.
Okay.
Mine is not, and I will not be.
You're not eating either?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
I'm just going home.
You had a list.
Are you
today,
going
though.
home now?
When's your free time?
I don't have the
40,
privilege
40
of.
times over.
Because I was hoping we could have a little discussion.
No,
about some
I'm
stuff.
staying for that.
Well,
Or
we're
I
gonna-
may come hang out for that if y'all are going somewhere. To do
Yeah,
that.
we're probably gonna eat while we do that. So
Welcome to Personal Conversations.
Yeah, that's right.
Podcast After Party Lounge.
Since there's not too much in the chat going on, but you know.
and they said, and Micro says, I don't want the other guys to feel left out. I would like to go fishing with the rest of you. A fishing game, of course.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that's the only way I'm going.
Cabela's fishing.
Because I'm not paying for a fishing license, nor am I going outside.
You're right.
You only need a fishing license if you get caught fishing.
That's very true.
Like a driver's license or anything like that.
Right. You see a park ranger coming, you just throw your pole in the river.
Just drop the pole.
And you don't own a pole, so it won't even be yours. No loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
No harm, no foul. How do we feel about what kind of foods do we want?
I don't know. Let's get out of here and then we'll decide. Because Ben does need to. I guess he needs to go home at some point. So we should just go ahead and get going to what we're going to need to do. So, all right, we're going to get out of here. Thanks for tuning in. Seth's telephone number, by the way, it's 276. It's